ਹੁਣ ਮੈਨੂੰ join ਕਰਨ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ Kiran, also known as Kiranee Music, Punjabi singer, writer and composer, and the director and co-founder of Break the Noise Records. Her latest hits, Paul, Lost, and Call Me Mamacita, part of the Rishi Rich production. ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ with Kiranee.
कुछ दिनों से है यूं लगा, कुछ दिनों से मेरा नहीं दिल मेरा, कुछ दिनों से है यूं लगा, ख्वाहिशों ने मुझे से हमको
Kiran, let's start from the beginning. At what age did you realize you wanted to become a singer?
I've always loved music, cliche answer from every single artist, I think. But I think what really kind of made me think about music in a different light was when I was around 4 or 5. And I had just, I traveled on back then what was known as like a Bharat coach, which used to travel from Southall to Birmingham. And I used to travel on that coach to see my family at that age. And my mom would drop me off at Southall bus station. I would sit next to any familiar or very cute looking auntie or uncle, on the coach. And I used to travel to Birmingham, and on the other side in Birmingham, one of my family members would pick me up. And I remember this one incident. I had my Sony orange Walkman. I'm a little girl with my little backpack, on this little Dora the Explorer kind of vibe. And I was singing the whole way. And that journey back then used to take about 3.5 hours because the coach used to stop every so often. And I remember just singing my heart out, thinking I was the only person that could hear me. And at the end of the journey, the driver of the coach, he stopped me from getting off at my stop. And he said to my family member, is this your daughter or is this your niece? And my family member said, yes, she's my niece. And the coach driver said, he goes, she's got a fantastic voice. We've been listening to her for the last 3.5 hours. Singing the whole way. And I went bright red as a tomato. I was so embarrassed. But I think that was the moment where I really just thought, okay, this is interesting. And I've always been a very mature child, when I was younger, always kind of ahead of my own time. But that was my first ever compliment that I had received about my voice. And I think that just kind of made me a bit more passionate about it. And then after that, things kind of organically just started to fall into place as I got older. But that was the most pivotal moment for me as an individual, as a girl. Yeah.
That's incredible. And now look at you. You're working with Rishi Rich. Your songs are at the top of the charts. I mean, that is so fascinating.
I know.
So and now this collaboration with you and Rishi, how did this occur? Like, who approached whom? Was it you reaching out to Rishi or vice versa?
So I reached out to actually on Facebook back then because, I think when I started kind of singing and bringing it out to the public forefront, I don't know if you remember, but we used to have like MySpace and High Five and all these kind of different websites and stuff where people, obviously now we have Instagram and all this other kind of stuff, but back then it was pretty basic, having a Facebook account and writing on each other's walls and things like that. That was probably like the most interaction, right? We used to have like back then.
Yeah, we used to poke each other on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we used to poke each other like that. Now it's like, people are sliding into each other's DMs and it's all so advanced now. It's crazy. But, back then, I used to love recording cover songs because I wasn't writing at that time. I didn't really have any original content. So I used to record a lot of cover versions, and I used to record like the phone used to be face down. So the camera would be recording like the table or whatever. I would never show my face. And because I really wanted to concentrate just on my voice and how I sounded. I didn't want the fact that, I was kind of a little bit plump. And, I had like my glasses and I had a very non-artist kind of a look, I would call it. And I sent Rishi a message and a couple of other producers. And I just basically said, this is a cover version of me singing. People say I'm quite good. I'm not sure, but I'm really just looking for advice and direction as to what you think, I should do to kind of better myself and, the voice. And if you think I have a good voice, what do you think I can do to kind of, make it better, a bit more skilled and trained? And it's so funny. All the other producers I'd messaged, they had all gotten back to me within like a day. But Rishi decided to take a year. And yeah, and he responded back to me a year later to the day. And I still had this Facebook message a year later to the day. And by then I was like, in my first year university. And his response to me was, "You're good, but you can be better." And I was like, okay, I don't know how to take this. You said I'm good, but now you're saying I can be better. Like, what does that mean? It was all this code kind of thing I was trying to break down. And he was like, you're good, but you can be better. Here's the address of the studio. Here's Veronica's number. Liaise with her, arrange a time, and come down and audition for us. So I was like, okay, that moves fast. Really. And then I went down, I met Rishi and Veronica at their studio in Greenford. And, I was a bundle of nerves and I sang and they loved what I did. Yeah, and that was it. It kind of just started off from there, really.
And now you guys have a record company, Break the Noise Records. You're the director and the co-founder.
It's pretty crazy, to be honest. I mean, Rishi and I have known each other for so many years. Starting off from that Facebook message to, him being my producer, me being the artist that was, always sitting in the corner of the studio, watching him, having his other studio sessions with artists like H and Juggy and Veronica and all the other artists that used to come in the studio. As much as I loved to sing at that stage, I loved being in the studio. And I actually loved being in the studio more than I loved performing, because I loved to watch the mechanics of like how to make a song. How does it start? What happens first? Where does that melody come from? How do you know to do your drums like that? So I think that's the legal kind of brain in me. It needs to have an answer to absolutely everything, right? So I love being in the studio, and that, I think, that passion for knowing what goes into a song, not just the singing, not just the lyrics, but the actual, the birth of the actual music, that I think is what has enabled me to have this kind of long journey that I've had. Because in terms of actual content, I have only released maybe one song a year. That used to be my thing, and people used to really take the mick out of me. They're like, "Oh, you release one song and then you disappear for another year and then you do it again." And I'm like, yeah, because I don't want to overcrowd people and drown people with my music, and because my music is very different, my sound and the tone of my voice is very different. I'm here for the long run. I'm not going to be releasing songs every month and that's it, my shelf life is gone, because that's how the Indian music industry works, right? So when I came out to India and kind of settled a bit here, I loved the fact that I was writing for a lot of artists. That became a new branch of Kiranee, writing for a lot of artists, writing for Jay, writing for Juggy, writing for Raghav, writing for quite a few artists here, having songs in Bollywood films and having songs in Netflix shows and stuff like that. All these opportunities came to my doorstep because of Rishi, because Rishi was involved in the music. But, doing the other kind of work that I've been doing, like writing and composing and stuff like that, that has really kind of kept me going, because people in this country, they love my voice because it's so different, because it's very UK, it's very R&B Punjabi, but they also don't understand it enough to put it in a film. That kind of stuff is very, very rare for me. And even with Rishi creating the songs that he's created all of his life, ahead of its time kind of music, it always has been, when he's created, people didn't really understand what he was doing here in terms of the Indian music label. They didn't really, I mean, Rishi is a monster producer. There's a reason why they call him the Timberland of the Indian music scene. And here, honestly, they didn't know what to do with him. Like, he's not your producer artist that loves being in the videos and loves being in everyone's face. He loves being in the studio, making his music and eating a pizza. You know, like that's his vibe. A lot of the people uh, who make the decisions in Mumbai and in this country when it comes to music didn't understand Rishi as a music producer. Um, and all these little things kind of really just started to bubble under the surface that Rishi had moved his career and his life. I subsequently joined later and moved, shifted my life, and we were just dealing with a bunch of rejection. A bunch of people just saying, your song is good, but we want to change this and we want to change that. And we don't want her to sing it. We want somebody else that's bigger, more well known, more followers to sing it. And this is the kind of stuff we were facing. Rishi and I just kind of had a conversation one day, and he said, it's always been a dream of mine to have my own record label here. He'd done it once with Rishi Rich Productions. He wanted to do it again. And he was like, if I set this up and if we manage to do this, I would want to be able to do it with you, because I can't do that on my own. There's only so much I can handle by myself, and I would need you to kind of, be on par with me and, kind of accompany me in that journey. And that's exactly what happened. We got the opportunity to set up Break the Noise Records as a music label in India, just a month after India lockdown was imposed. And just before that lockdown was imposed, we had a lot of projects that were tied up in Bollywood, a lot of projects that were tied up with artists and everything else. And, like everybody else has suffered and gone through, COVID really, took a lot of stuff away from us. Filming, Bollywood films stopped shooting overnight. Artists that we were working with, flew home to be with their families, understandably. So we were kind of like, okay, we've got no work. There's no work now. There's no work. And neither of us can fly back to London because we're stuck here. What are we going to do? And thankfully, we literally got the offer to start the label. That is what has kept us going throughout this whole pandemic, is being able to start this label, because it gave us a sense of purpose again. It gave us that drive and focus to do what we love, do it in our own way without having to answer to anybody. Like Call Me Mamacita is the exact example. Like if we had made that a year and a half ago or 2 years ago and taken it into a record label here, they would have said no. Nakhre, classic example. Nakhre was made 3.5 years ago. 3 years ago, yeah. Nakhre was taken into 2 major record labels in India. And both record labels said this song will not work in India. It won't work. It doesn't matter who's singing it. It doesn't matter who's produced it. The sound of it is too international to work in India. So as soon as our label was set up, we were like, Nakhre's got to come out. Nakhre's got to come out. And now Nakhre has just won the best non-film song of the year in India. Yes. So it's crazy, That's why we started the record label, man.
Yeah, Nakhre was honestly one of the best things for me to happen in lockdown. I remember I was right in the middle of the lockdown, and then this song comes out, and I love Nakhre. I know everyone on the radio has heard it so many times. I've been playing it nonstop since December, basically. And since then, even Pal, Lost, Call Me Mamacita, these are all amazing tracks, and I think you guys have done a phenomenal job. And the thing that I love about your guys' music is the fact that I can play it on the radio without hesitation. Now, without saying names, there's some artists from India where I don't feel comfortable playing their music because it's a family radio station. And I feel like some of the music promotes the wrong things. And that's not what music should feed. It should feed your soul. It should be therapeutic. And that's what I get from your music. Like, Paul, your voice, the way you carry it, and then the music video, if you look at the whole combination, it is so soothing to your ears. It actually puts you in a complete euphoric mindset. Is what I would say. It's such a beautiful sound, and I love sharing your guys' music. And I'm being very open when I say whenever I play a new track by Break the Noise Records, I will always be getting messages or phone calls of, hey, what was that song called? And everyone always reaches out and says, we appreciate the music you play because we can play it around our kids. And
Yeah,
a lot of the music I play is Brit Asian music, to be very open.
yeah,
And I think there's great artists, and I love sharing your work and Rishi's work. And Nakhre, I know it just won the award. I was talking about that on Friday on our show.
Thank you so much. I mean, that song, it was made like in a like I was saying earlier, in such a fun state. Jay was here from America. We'd gone out one night, got reacquainted and had some drinks and everything else, and came back to the studio, and Jay was like, okay, I'm in a vibe to work now. And that song was made at 4:30 in the morning, which
Wow.
is, not the ideal state at all. But it was a fun situation. It was the first time I had really just hung out with Jay, like one-on-one, and had some really kind of brother-sister time. And we really, really bonded. And he's such a great guy, really lovely. And, when it came to releasing it, I felt it, being away from my brother and sister younger than me, and my brother, I love sitting there watching Iron Man and all this kind of Marvel stuff with him. And, I was really kind of missing him at this point in the pandemic. And, one thing that did get me through, yes, was the record label, but was also the music that other artists were putting out, because I love listening to other people's music, right? Mm-hmm. And I really found that about end of August, beginning of September, the music that I was kind of hearing, like, and people's posts on Instagram, and I was feeding off this energy, right? Everyone was getting really, really somber because they'd been in this pandemic since March and lockdown and this state of anxiousness and not knowing what's going to happen next. And everyone was just really feeling low. And Rishi and I had this conversation with Jay, and we were like, look, we need to put smiles on people's faces again. We need people to get out of this mind state that they're stuck in a pandemic, and get them thinking about those 15 years ago, whatever it was, when Eyes on You and Dance With You came out. Because when that came out for all of us, I'm sure you can imagine, life was so much simpler, right? For all of us. There was no pandemic. We were just young teenagers listening to 3 cool Indian guys on the TV making, family orientated, just cool, very cool to be Indian kind of music, right?
Right.
So when we were talking about releasing it, I said to Rishi and Jay, I was like, if we don't do this now, it's not going to be appreciated, because people need uplifting. Mm-hmm. And, the video, the way we had done it with the caricatures and, just the whole nostalgic vibe, it was purely so people started to think about something else and not the pandemic. Mm-hmm. Because we were all at home. Thinking about the pandemic constantly, it's going to drive us crazy. It's driven some of us crazy already, So we all needed that little 3-minute break of just being able to think of something else apart from the situation we were all globally in. And that's what Nakhre was about. We just wanted to make people kind of smile and just get out of that headspace. And I think that really worked. Mm-hmm. And people love that, Like I've always said, Jay is the only artist I know that can make 2 music videos now just by walking down the street, and he can make it look so cool. He's the only person that can do that. I've never met anybody else that can. But everything about that release, the video, everything was just nostalgic. Everything, 100%. And people love that. People like that, People like, we proved with we had the video done. Sorry, we showed the video to a couple of artists as well, and they were like, "No, this video is not going to do well." Like, where's your flashy cars? Where's the girls? Where's the beach? Where's this? And we're like, guys, it's lockdown. Like, where are we meant to shoot this? Like, Mussy found a videographer in New Jersey where Jay is. Mm-hmm. And we got that stuff done over there. And, we've got the animator over here. So we've edited it all in-house. Rishi and myself have edited the actual video and done all the transitions and everything we've done ourselves. And a lot of people were like, this video is not going to work. It's Jay walking down the street. Who's interested in that? You know, who cares? Jay's walking down the street and it's an Indian neighborhood, and who cares? And me and Rishi were like, this will work because people loved it the first time. If it's not broken, don't touch it. Like, it's simple, it's effective, and people just want to hear good music. Good music that they can play to their kids, the whole family, everyone can hear it because everyone's at home, everyone needs their mood uplifted. Let's not overthink this, let's just put it out. And it's been a great journey for the song, you know, it's been great.
Absolutely. And Karen, so like all these uphill battles you've been having, like where people are like, you know what, your idea is not going to work. What is
Yeah.
encouraging you to go against the grain and still pushing it through and making it so successful? So where do you get the encouragement that even when someone says it's not going to work, to still go with your instinct and your feeling?
I think, you know, I myself and Rishi as well, we do a lot of research. You know, if you listen to Timbaland, Missy Elliott, Shaggy, there's loads of artists in the international soundscape that have all been through it, that have all had, you know, rejections. Jay-Z's had it, P. Diddy's had it, everyone's had it, okay? Now, it doesn't make, because we're Indian artists, we're going to face it too. It's not like it's going to be any easier, right? It's natural, you know, natural part of life. Now, what kind of keeps us going? Like, we had a couple of people within the label itself, you know, within our extended teams that said, you know, we're not sure about Nakhre, the video doesn't really match the song and whatever. And Rishi and me were both like, listen, we are two British Asians working in India. Our label is set up in India, but it's not an Indian music record label. The minute we start doing what every other music label in this country is doing, we have lost our identity. We're making music in this country for people outside this country. We're doing it for our British Asian people which is what we are. We've grown up with those people. We've grown up with that sound. Rishi has embodied and made a lot of that sound. You know, we're doing it for our people and our scene in America and Canada. We're not necessarily doing it for India. Whether India picks up on it or India likes it, or a radio station here in India picks up one of the songs and shows it love and whatever, which is what they did with Nakhre, then great. But we're not doing it for here. We're doing it for, we're working with artists from the UK and from America, and we're shining spotlight on those artists within India, you know, which is great. There's so many artists in India. There's so much talent here. We're working with some of them, but we're combining them with a UK flavor as well. You know, that's what our label is about. Our label is staying true to what we know. Rishi has soaked up that American kind of music culture because he's lived there for 6 years. You know, him and myself have got that British Asian roots to us. Why would we want to abandon that and just start to conform to the Indian music way of working? That's not what we're about. So that's how we stick to our guns. We basically tell everyone, we're not from here. We believe in our music. And that's what we're just going to do. Touch wood, it's worked so far. So, like I said, it's hard. Like, we have our record label, and it's great that we have this position where we can put out what we want, but we still have these conversations with people, you know? We still have this constant, yes, it will work. Don't worry about it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. But someone will like it. It's okay. Like, let's just get it out. Content is content, and good music is good music, and it will find its space. I mean, like, we made Mamacita thinking it was a joke and we were going to give it to somebody else. Like, why would I want to sing a song that says Jada Nachdi mein lagi baby fire? Like, that's not me. I don't say stuff like that. You know, that's my thing. When I write songs, I write them knowing that someone else is going to sing them, because I know I'm not going to sing this. I can't sing this. That's not my vibe, you know? And when I wrote it, I was like, yeah, this person can sing it because this is totally their space, their vibe. You know, I can imagine them in a video and they can look really good singing it. And when everyone was like, you and Rishi need to sing this song, we were like, oh God, really? Like, it doesn't suit us. Rishi's never sang a song before. So, you know, it's a mixture of both, but, you know, we have to do what we believe in. And we make music with the greatest and purest intentions. And we just want to follow that through. That's it. And people will always keep saying no. And we'll just keep saying, okay, we're still going to release it. So it's fine.
Well, I gotta say, you guys killed it with Mamacita, and I really do appreciate you guys holding on to your identity because I personally really, really do respect and appreciate your music. So,
Thank
Rishi,
you.
like you said earlier, that he sort of stays behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I actually was presenting him an award. It was the best music. Punjabi music artist. It was at the Sikh Awards in Dubai, and I had no idea what Rishi looked like. And I remember in that moment, I was like, I know how Jay Sean looks. I know how Juggy D looks. Like, I have zero idea how Rishi looks. And here I am
Yeah.
presenting an award without even knowing what he looks like. And that was the first time I found out what Rishi looked like. And to
Mm.
validate your point, that's so true because never had I ever, like growing up through high school or junior high, I had never seen how Rishi Rich looked, but we always listened to his music.
Yeah, exactly.
So, with your guys'
Yeah.
upcoming projects, can you share any details with anything we can
Mhm.
expect in the near future?
Yep, we have a song releasing this Wednesday. Yep, so it's our next Break the Noise Records release. It's a Rishi Rich single. And like I said, it's a classic. It has this Bollywood kind of a item film song kind of a vibe, but it has that massive injection of UK British Asian kind of flavor. I know you'll love it. It's an amazing song. It's with an amazing artist from here, Sapreet It's with an amazing artist from here called Yash Narvekar. And I'm sure if you're following Break the Noise Records, you'll know that Mumsy Stranger is also on the record. So
Yes.
he's the massive UK kind of injection. It's a dance track. It's going to be a great vibe. And that comes out this Wednesday. So yeah, that's our next Break the Noise Records release. So I think a lot of people will be excited for that. That is a classic song. I mean, I personally don't have anything to do with the song. I haven't written it or anything like that. But this song, I mean, it's been sitting on the hard drive for I think 2.5 years. It was going to go into an Arjun Kapoor film because Arjun Kapoor loved it, and then nothing happened with that. Then Varun Dhawan loved it. It was going to go into a Varun Dhawan film, and nothing happened. And then Badshah loved it. So Badshah was like, keep the song for me. I want to use it. Nothing happened with that. And I think Rishi just got so fed up. He was like, you know what? No one's having the song. I'm putting it out on my record label. That's it. It's done. No one can have it now. And if you want it, then you can have it after it's released. But I'm putting it. That's what India's like. Everyone's like me. But you just gotta follow your gut. I'm really excited actually for this song to come out. It's one of my personal favorites. I'm a big fan of Sukriti. She's a good friend of ours, and she's a great female talent. She's like to me, although she has a twin sister as well who also sings. She to me is like the Bollywood version of Ariana Grande. Like I love her voice. She's got a great vibe. She's really beautiful. She got a great voice. So that song's coming out this Wednesday. So other than that, we have a lot of Break the Noise record stuff in the pipeline. But I won't reveal too much on that just yet.
That's fair. No worries.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to share that track with everyone on Wednesday. So, everyone who's listening today, make sure you tune in Wednesday and we'll be listening to that on our show as well. And with
Yes.
that, Karen, I'd like to thank you so much for coming on air with me. I really do appreciate you taking out time. I'm sure we'll have you back on in the near future. It's been a pleasure, honestly. And I wish you the best of luck with everything you're doing out there and safe travels back to London whenever you are able to.
Thank you so much. And I hope that when I'm in London, I hope we can connect and hang out and just catch up and have some good vibes. Hopefully that
I
will be
hope
soon.
so.